So let's talk about magic and psychology and where they overlap.
Necronomicon is coming.
So basically, my goal in this video is to speak to those that really don't believe in magic and just kind of think that it's like a psychological mechanism and it's all in your head. And also to kind of give more of a perspective on those of us that do practice magic and really kind of how it works in your mind to give you more of an idea of the fact that the harder and the more that you believe in what you are doing, the more powerful that it is. So I have a bachelor's in psychology. I spent 4 years at a university studying it, and I graduated with high honors. So I think I'm well versed in this subject, and I like to get pretty nerdy. I do have the DSM in my house, and everybody that I know will tell you that I'm really able to kind of piece a lot of things together. And one of my favorite quotes is, when you understand psychology, it's very hard for you to get mad at someone because you can understand why they do what they do. Now, that doesn't mean you justify everything that they do, but it gives you an idea of the reasoning behind why people are the way that they are. It doesn't make things right or wrong. It just gives you a perspective of understanding. So let's try to come to an understanding of magic in terms of psychology. So, magic, what it tries to do, or what you are trying to do, is magic is the change of reality in accordance with will, or there are changes that are happening on the outside of you in your world that align with what you want on the inside. And so let's tackle a couple of things. Let's go just with examples. Examples are the best way to illustrate things, at least from my perspective and the way that I like to do things. So let's say that somebody does a spell to become more confident, or somebody does a spell to become stronger, or somebody does a spell in general. So, they create a ritual space, they invoke their deities, they do the declaration of intent, they raise the energy, then they perform the spell work, and they send the energy off towards their goal, whether it be obtaining a job or getting this or getting that. And remember, love spells don't work. I just had to make a comment on one of my previous videos who tried to bash the Necro spellbook, saying that it doesn't work because he tried to use a love spell. Well, check out one of my previous videos, dude, before you start yapping. I'm not a fan of when people come to my videos giving it trash. I know that this is YouTube, this is the internet, and that's what they do, but come on, engage in a discussion rather than just bashing. Bashing is really and staying in that negativity is wasting your time. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But, so when somebody does a ritual and they raise that energy and they send it off, and then they are able to manifest, let's say, a job. Now, one of the tenets with magic is acting in accord, or following through with what your spell work did to help bring that thing to you. So you are at point A, what you want is at point B. You do the magic and send the energy off that kind of forms a tether from point A, where you are, to point B, what you want to get or where you want to get. And when you act in accord, like in getting a job, you create a resume. You know that it's going to work out for you because you have done that spell work. So you get a resume, you are really thorough with it, you are constantly telling yourself, I did that stuff, so I know I'm going to get this job, or I know I'm going to get a job. And then, you give your resume out, you do the application online or in person or whatever, you go through the interview, everything goes good, and you get the job. Now, what magic practitioners will tell you is because that energy that you sent off in that spell work is guiding you towards that, guiding you from point A to point B and pulling point B closer to point A so you can get that. What it does from a psychological perspective is when you perform that psychodrama, that big event, and check out my other video on psychodrama for a further explanation on this if it's not clear enough in this video, which if I can remember, I'll link it down in the description. But from a viewpoint of psychology, it does is that psychodrama creates such a shift in your mind that like before the spell, you're worried about not getting a job, so you perform the spell work. So then that energy raising and that spell work and that sending off changes your confidence. It changes your perspective from I want to get this, or I want this to happen, into I will get this, or this will happen. It's a change of perspective. Like if somebody does a spell to become more confident at public speaking, for example, they step into the after, before the ritual happens, they have that idea of, hey, I'm not that good at public speaking, so I'm going to ask the gods for help, or I'm going to put energy towards it, or I'm going to bless an object, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that to make me better at insert example here. Then they perform the ritual with all the steps I previously listed, and after they do that, then they say, hey, I got the energy on my side, I got such and such a deity on my side, I got spirit on my side, and I can do this. So once again, psychologically, that changes their perspective. Like if you are looking for a job and you do a spell to find a job, then from a psychological explanation, what it does is it shifts your brain, it shifts your perception, it shifts your perspective to being able to look for that job, being more thorough in going through job application listings and finding the job that works for you. Now, psychologically, this can just be seen as a change in focus to being able to notice certain things to allow something to happen. And from a magical perspective, you're at point A, the thing's at point B, and it's pulling you closer along that path to go from point A to point B. So if you don't believe in magic, you can still perform these rituals, even if, like, let's say you're a beginning practitioner and you don't 100% believe in it yet, as long as you can create that psychodrama, that nice shift, that big moment that shifts your mind and shifts your perspective from I want this to I am going to get this, or I need this to, or I want this to happen to this is going to happen. It's a shift in perspective. It's a shift in your mind that allows it to happen. Now, let's talk about enchanting objects, for example. Now, I've done that plenty of times with different things. For example, my fiance got me a necklace for Christmas that was from a crystal shop, and it had tons of crystals on it that all had to do with building more confidence. So what you could say from a magical perspective is that these stones, that it's upstairs. Once again, everything is upstairs whenever I talk about it, but maybe I should do a video upstairs for once. What do you think? Anyway, just, all self-critique and being able to really try to problem solve on the fly. But, so this necklace that I have, from a skeptic's point of view, what it can say is, hey, these are stones that, I am telling myself that they will make me more confident, and therefore they will make me more confident. From a magical perspective, it's the vibration of these stones will better vibrate with myself and my aura to help me to be more confident. As long as I believe in it and let it in, then it will. Remember, things don't happen to you if you don't believe that they can happen to you. Like in one of my previous videos, a spirit cannot affect you unless you believe that it can. Because if you have a fear, it lets it in. If you believe something can affect you and negatively affect you, then it does. There's a thing called, in one of my previous, or not in a previous video, but in my previous experiences with a lot of things that I read, that from a spiritual vibrational perspective, whenever you are engaging in an activity that is negative for your health, what it is doing is, like, let's take, I don't know. No examples here anyway, but if you are engaging in something that is bad for your health, yeah, let's say smoking, okay? Smoking and lung cancer, there you go, that's easy. When you are smoking, what it is doing is you have an auric field, it's your aura. We are vibrational beings, we are just things that are constantly vibrating, and everything around us is. Like when you touch something, you're really not touching it. You are interacting with the vibrational field around it that creates resistance, and that's what you feel. Just as an example. But when you are engaging in activities such as smoking, you are basically saying, hypothetically, that there is a chance that you are going to get lung cancer, or the risk. And the more that you do it, the closer that negative energy comes into your auric field, and the closer it gets to you, and the more and more that you do that thing, the more that it can come into you. And once it gets in through that and it comes into you, guess what? Boom! You got a disease. And so that now you could say that from a magical perspective, or you could say from a skeptic's perspective that the more that you smoke, then the more chances are that you are going to get lung cancer. I mean, there's tons of statistics out there that, the sooner you quit smoking, the more your chances of lung cancer go down. But so I talked about enchanting objects. I talked about doing spell work. I don't really think that there are any other examples, but look, from a psychological perspective, what you want and what you believe is what you will perceive. There are a lot of people that have traumatic pasts, or anybody for that matter. We all have a viewpoint through which we see everything in the world that is dictated by our past experiences. I don't know if most of you know this. I think I mentioned it in a video a long time ago, that we run most of our day subconsciously. Our consciousness is basically the vehicle through which we navigate the world, where the way that we react to things and the way that we habitually go through things is dictated by our subconscious. Pick up a toothbrush and see how you do it. You're going to do it the same exact way that you did it yesterday. Like, I have a certain pattern in which I do my teeth. I know I do it every single time unless I consciously think about it and I want to switch it up. I'm losing my train of thought here. But, so psychologically, the more that you believe, change in perspective in the way that we see the world. If you see if somebody that has a traumatic past, or like if you've been in a car accident where, let's say, somebody from the opposite lane came and hit you, right? Then anytime that you are driving on the road and you see somebody coming from the opposite lane that, from your perception, not necessarily reality, comes a little bit too close to your car, you're going to freak out and you're going to think it's going to hit you. Why? Because of past experience. And the more that you kind of believe, you're always going to see it that way. So if somebody was to do a spell for that, of being protected in their car, that causes, psychological now, that causes that shift in perspective from thinking that every time a car comes near you, that it's in that manner, that it is going to hit you. Then you change your perspective to, just because a car is passing by me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hit me. So magic is psychodrama from a skeptic's perspective. It is a way of changing your perspective, your perception, and the way that you view the things around you, the way that you view your interactions with the world, and changing them to the way that you want them to be. If you want to be more confident, you can do a spell, and you can do that psychological switch in your perspective to make that thing happen for you. From a magical perspective, you were working with the energies to pull point A to point B. From a psychological perspective, you are changing your perception to allow you to get that thing that you want or achieve that goal that you want. Now, from a psychological perspective, spells don't always work because, hey, sometimes you might want something really, really bad and it just doesn't happen for you because you might not have the skills, or like if you want a job and from a psychological perspective you do a spell work, so you make that shift in your mind and you still don't get the job. Well, maybe that's because there was somebody more qualified than you, or maybe there just wasn't a job open. From a magical perspective, that same scenario is the idea that, hey, that spell worked, but that result that you were asking for is not really what is in alignment for you, and that spirit, the energy in the world, has something different or something better in store. Let me know if I need to make a part 2 to this and explain it a little bit more, but this is the psychological / skeptic perspective on magic, and basically how it can work if you are a skeptic and you understand psychology, or how magic works with backup from a psychological basis if you are a practitioner and a believer. Check out all my other videos for necronomical studies, working with the Simon Necronomicon, or my general magic playlist that talks a lot about magical mechanics and anything else that I've kind of put up. So let me know what you guys think, and good hunting.